All right, Shalom. I want to start out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And Shalom to all the Akim out there pushing the word in sincerity and in truth. And, I'm going to go into this topic of obedience, man. This is a major thing that, we all have to always embody, and characteristics that we have to always have constituted within our vessel is being obedient unto Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, through the voice of the scriptures, through the voice of the apostles and elders, through the voice of your teachers and leaders in your local camps, to the brother around you, counsel, as it is written, in the multitude of counselors there's safety. So in the multitude of voices, you abide in a safe zone, but not listening to that voice and straying away can lead to instant death. You'll watch a lot of movies and you'll see certain people that want to go AWOL and that want to push their own conflicting agenda inside of an agenda or organization that's flowing in harmony. And what happens? That person gets killed. He does something irrational and puts everybody in harm's sake. He gets locked up, get busted. It's a lot of things that can come with not cooperating in the spirit as you're supposed to. So we have to be very, very cognizant and very well aware of the importance of abiding or being obedient to the house or into the church of this ministry. So I'm gonna start with the definition of obedience: compliance with an order, request, a law, or submission to another's authority. And where does the authority start? First and foremost, the scriptures. The scriptures is a book of statutes, laws, and commandments, and that's why it has it on a secondary definition: observance of a monastic rule or monastic rule. So obedience is very, very important because it's observance. And how do you observe it? Constantly going over it, learning from your mistakes and different actions, and feeling the whip of the penalty. Because really, how we penalize ourselves in the spirit is through thoughts. The thoughts are the whippings. That's the whipping stick of man. The things that you feel, self regret, and foolish decision making, it pegs on you. So that's how you actually keep yourself in order, through rebuke, self examination, self rebukes, self reprovals are the most important weapons that you can actually use to sever away disobedience and just going running rampant and basically doing things outside of the spirit of compliance. So I'm gonna go into obedience in this segment in the psychology, under the basically the social aspect of obedience. Because in the spirit, the brothers in Great Millstone are sociologists, man. We understand the spirit and where through your actions where the line it'll take you down. All right, through social compliance and social disobedience, and actually being obedient to the wrong house can lead to instant death. Because if you're disobedient in this word, then that means you're playing the harlot and you have affection for another lover, which is sin. All right, according to the scriptures. All right, that's why the scripture says in Proverbs to call wisdom thy woman, and this truth thy kinswoman, that she may keep you from the strange woman. Which the strange woman, these foreign philosophies and foreign ideologies that don't have anything and doesn't basically comply with the spirit of the Lord. So going on to obedience, it says obedience in human behavior is a form of social influence in which a person yields to explicit instructions or orders from an authority or figure. So it's important in a social influence to yield to explicit instructions, because instructions start off with what? These scriptures. They structure within your vessel to make you upright, and thus, it elevates your spirit. Obedience is generally distinguished from compliance, which is behavior influenced by peer peers and form from conformity, which is behavior intended to match that of the majority. And this thing isn't about matching that of the majority. It's about matching the spirit of the Lord, which is dealing with really the minority. All right, where the minor of the nations on a respect level. All right, and in this truth, you're you're looked at as minor or somebody who's not of importance because you don't have no social status and you don't have riches. So that our people only respect you for the money that you actually can back yourself by. You know, and that's not the way that we fall. We don't fall under the spirit of the Lord. Excuse me. We don't fall under the spirit of man, where your money always your money is what drums up your status quo. We believe in the spirit of things. So the spirit of conformity to these different ways don't apply to us because we walk in the spirit. All right. Conformity is the act of matching attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors to group norms. And we're not normal, man. We're the as the scripture says, we're transformed, and I'm gonna get that scripture. Norms are implicit, specific rules shared by a group of individuals that guide their interactions with each other. So these people fall up under the social norms, and one thing about being socially normal, you can't be a racist. You can't believe in a so-called black power. You can't believe in rulership and slaves. All those things actually break the law of the social norm or the normality. And we're not norms. We're the spiritual. We're spiritual, man. We're not normal men. I look at it from a social norm, from a sociological perspective. Social norms are informal understandings that govern the behavior of members of a society. Right, and we have our own social society, so to speak. So we don't have to go by the format of this devil, what he thinks is normal. That's why the scripture says, "Forsake, don't or forsake not the when it goes into the incredulity of them that trouble you. Don't be troubled in the spirit by the incredulity of them that don't believe, because we're more spiritual and we understand what they don't understand. They're carnal. All right, and the scriptures speak about how the carnal spirit has enmity with the Lord. So we have to disabide by the rules and the practices of the wicked and abide and live in the house of the Lord. This is the Lord's house, which starts off with His word. Romans 12:1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice. Right, and our bodies have to be living sacrifices, all for the offering of the Lord. All right. And what was the Lord's offerings? In His house. All right. All these different things were in the dwelling quarters of the tabernacle. Later on, the temple, which you had the temple of sacrifice. You had the holy of holies, that which was acceptable for the Most High's presence to dwell in those quarters. And it says, which is your reasonable service. So this is a service. We represent the nation full of kings and priests, and we have to put forth the office of the priest, which first and foremost starts with us giving up our lives and falling in the house of the Lord and doing the Lord's work. Just like during the time of the Maccabees, when they established a temple that was broken down, they had to clean it up, put whole stones back in the temple so that the sacrifice would be acceptable before the Lord. And we're doing these same things. We're renewing ourselves and rebuilding the ruins of the house of David that was destroyed. All right. And it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of dedication and hammering down and staying nailed and fastened in this word. All right. And nailing each other. All right. As well as strongly as we advocate pushing ourselves, we push each other in the same magnitude. So verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, which the word conform means to be with form. That's a social norm of things. The Lord said don't be in the social norm or be conformed, because you do what? You essentially disassociate yourself from the house of the Lord, and you start to follow other gods and other principles that have nothing to do with His word. And the word conform means to conform oneself one's mind and character to another's patterns, fashion oneself according to. Yeah, and the scriptures speak about how the fashion of this world soon fadeth away. All right, the fashion of this world is gone, man. The Lord is establishing a new fashion, a new thing in the earth, which is this word, which is surging itself through the spirit, through what's actually gaining our memories back, as it is written in Peter's. It said, I will put you back in remembrance, though you once knew this. So we're actually regaining the spirit, and this is going to be the first thing to fashion the kingdom of heaven, which is the memories you see before you. All right, so I'm gonna go into a couple of scriptures that go into obedience and the importance of the voice. And this is Genesis 27:8. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. All right. Exodus 23:21. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So you have to obey. All right. As it is written, that obedience is better than obedience is basically. I'm gonna get it in Samuel, where he said obedience is basically better than sacrifice. That's exactly what it goes into, sacrifice. But first, I want to get the scripture in Deuteronomy 21:18. If a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that which they have chastened him will not hearken unto him. Verse 20, and they shall say unto the elders of the city, that are stubborn and rebellious, he will not obey our voice, he is a glutton and a drunkard. And it basically goes into how you have all right to stone that boy. All right. And the Lord is going to drop a lot of stones on the individuals that don't want to listen unto the word of Yahweh Shema Shah, because they're actually being rebels. All right. They're being stubborn because they don't want to come back to the house of the Lord. As it is written, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. And the Lord people does not know, neither do they consider, because those stubborn animals know where their house is. But the Lord's children are so stubborn, they don't want to come back into his house. Instead, is a glutton and a drunkard. And that's our people, drinking of the philosophies and eating of the wayward and eating the king's meat, which they love to indulge in, instead of actually restricting themselves and being disciplined ministers unto the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. All right, 1 Samuel 12:15. But if you not hearken to the voice, will not obey the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the commandments of the Lord, then shall the hand of the Lord be against you, as it was against your fathers. So the Lord has extreme hatred for people that don't want to listen and obey and comply with the spirit and instructions that he lays out. It's his commandments. It's not a option. It's not a, if you don't want to do it, you could choose something else. It's not a multiple choice. It's words that's stamped, and they're to be listened to rule, to have a stronger understanding and wisdom and spiritual foundation. All right, and as we stay in this, we become stronger and stronger and more spiritual to the point where we can govern and actually manifest the Lord's house on earth. So I want to end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom